What's up, YouTube? Coming back at you with another video here. So, last video, didn't really film the entire process because it was a bit difficult to do so, but I talked about getting the engine out of the wagon, out of Ron Jeremy, for a rebuild. And since that video, I have only done one thing. I've been really busy lately. So all I've gotten around to, and I did not get a chance to film it, was cleaning the outside of this engine. As far as I know, it has a mild cam in it. That's it. And that's just, again, what I've been told, and had a little bit of an idle to it, so I'm just gonna guess that that was a correct fact, a true statement. I mean, once it's apart is when I'm really gonna decide how far I'm going on this rebuild. But this engine was quite gutless in the car, if I'm being honest. Car doesn't have a tack, but I would foot brake it more than once. I tried it, and it would not even break the tires loose. So something's wrong, because even though the car has what I'd consider highway gears, just a little over a 3:00 ratio from the rear axle, you know, it's got hard street tires. With a 360 in there, it really should be able to break the tires loose. So that was something that kind of surprised me and worried me at the same time. But nonetheless, when we dig into this thing, we'll find out what the story is. I'm expecting it to be a stock bottom end, completely stock. As I said, I think there is a mild cam in this engine, by what I was told, and by how it sounds. But other than that, I do not think there was anything done to this engine. If you know anything about small block Mopars, other than, and I could be mistaken on this, but other than the 273s and the first couple of years of 340, all of the pistons are way down in the hole, like way down. So, I know this 360 will be no exception, because 360s were actually not even made until the early 70s, and that's when Mopar switched over to, screw with that later, the lower compression stuff. Right, and one of the ways they did that was by putting the pistons a mile down in the hole. So my last LA was also a 360, but it was a factory roller motor. And that one there saw quite a few iterations. The first one was a build similar to this. And when I say similar, I'm talking about stock bottom end. So it actually had completely stock 1991 LA bottom end on it. I put fresh bearings in it. I did new rings as well. Ooh, what is that? Yikes. That's no good. So already finding something here. That does not. So this piece of metal wire almost looks like it's from the inside of a rad hose. I've never seen this before. I don't think this is factory. I would not see a reason for it. Could be wrong though. But yeah, that's not supposed to be there. Alright, well, put this in my parts bin here. So anyways, that 360, it had the stock bottom end, like I said. It was in really nice shape actually, that bottom end. So I think I might have ran a ball hone through it, but it didn't even really need it. And did new rings, new bearings, checked all the clearances. It was the top end of that motor that was pretty nice. It had an Edelbrock RPM air gap intake on it, with a 750 double pumper carb, a Holly. It had RHS cylinder heads. They don't make them anymore. But you may have heard of them, at least as far as I'm aware, they don't make them anymore. But it was an iron replacement head, and I got those cylinder heads, and I had them ported actually by Brian Hafliger at IMM Engines in California. He does a lot of small block Mopar stuff. Really great guy too, actually. So if you're ever looking for someone to do a build for you, he's definitely someone I would recommend. But he prepped the heads, had them ported them, not had them ported, he did port them. Back when those heads were something you could get. And he also ground a custom hydraulic roller can for me. So I actually had to fly cut the factory pistons. So what I did was I used one of the factory heads as a jig and made up a cutting tool. Anyways, I still actually have those pistons in a box on the shelf back there. So I had thought about using those if I needed to. But that cam was pretty aggressive for what it was, which is kind of why it needed the fly cut. It was only on the intake side, if I'm not mistaken. I know it was one side, I believe it was just the intake side, but I'd have to double check. But nonetheless, that engine in my 71 Scamp ran 1230s with a 4-speed, 410 gear, Mickey Thompson ET Street bias ply, 28 by 10.5, 87 octane gas. Drove that thing everywhere I put gas in it from any gas station. 87 octane junk gas. Never, ever, ever detonated, pinged, motor didn't skip a beat. Honestly, I loved that combo. The car was just a lot of fun. You know, a low 12-second car is definitely not fast these days in terms of what people are doing with street cars, but it's a lot of fun for a street car. You can, you know, still cruise around, do what you want, pretty streetable combo, but you know, still have some fun, gives you a good kick in the pants when you hit the gas pedal. So the goal with this thing is kind of something along those lines, but on a more of a budget. So no custom cam, gonna try and see if I can find something off the shelf that will work, and preferably something that is used that will work. Again, low dollar, low dollar, low dollar is the motto here. So that's the plan. Intake, carb, headers, cam, and more than likely I'm going to be using the stock head. So I actually ordered and will be sending back a Chinese air gap off of eBay. Got it for a really good deal, brand new. But I didn't do enough research, and I did not realize just how different the ports are on it compared to a real Edelbrock air gap intake, which brand new now in Canadian dollars are like $650. And again, Mopar guys out here in Canada, everything is, they price it like, you know, it's the last gold bar on earth. I haven't been able to find a used one, and the ones I have seen, guys want like $350, $400 for them for a used intake manifold. So the search is on still, but needless to say, I'm sending back the China Gap. It was a good deal. I might keep it, but I mean, most likely I'm going to be sending it back and putting that money towards buying an intake that I will actually run on this. I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me to put something on that might be a bit restrictive. I had a real air gap on that last combo I just mentioned before, so you know, there is something to be said for having the real parts sometimes, right? So yeah, that's the plan with that. I think these valve covers might be in the way to getting this intake off. So let's get these. Just for anybody wondering, I'm just a hobbyist. I do not turn wrenches for a living. Which might be obvious sometimes when you watch me work. I'm definitely not, I'm not a mechanic. Just a DIY guy, but I enjoy it. Oh, this guy's stuck pretty good. Okay. Nice. This thing's greasy as hell. Oh, I forgot how heavy these factory cast intakes are. God, that's a big one. I'll set that down here for now. Hard to say quickly looking at it, but I don't see any bent push rods. Nothing looks out of place. Looks good. So I want to get this timing cover off. But to do that, I need to get this bolt off for the balancer. I gotta see if I have a puller. I don't know if I have a puller here. That might actually stop me there. I can take the heads off still, but let's see if I have a puller. Turn it down a little. Okay, they are. So the head bolts are 3/4 inch, and on the small block Mopars, you got 5 inside the valve cover, and another 5 outside. So you got 10 head bolts in total. Ooh, that's a fun one. Might have to remove the rocker arms to get to that one, or see if I've got a thinner socket. Come on. So as I said, guys, I'd take a video here for you, show you the cylinders. So as I said, these are a slightly dished piston, no valve reliefs, and it does say 30 in the center. I did not notice that before. I don't know if you can see that there. So I'm gonna get some calipers out, because I'm almost wondering if these are even factory pistons or if these are replacements and this thing's 30 over already. Cylinder walls look decent, but I have not inspected each one. When I get it all apart, take a closer look. But here's that cam. So obviously there's some wear. I mean, it is a flat tappet cam, but you know, I don't see anything here that would be, you know, cause for concern. But I'm starting to think that this motor has been apart before. The head gaskets that came off of it, they were like the blue Felpros. Same thing with the intake gaskets. I haven't had the timing cover off yet. So yeah, there has been a cam put in it, obviously, as I said earlier, but I don't know how much deeper they went. So I'm gonna just get out some calipers and mess around a little bit, check the valve size on the heads and the bore size and see what I can find.